let's work on a wedding quilt. So this is month 2 of the wedding quilt. So that last month we just looked at things, and really last month was a year ago for me. So I started this before I got married, and it was going to debut the next last half of last year, but with moving a couple times and it got to the wayside, and that's fine. So I stuffed it all in here. So basically we had the back done, and that's about it. But as a recap, we're going to be making this quilt. That's from the 1840s-ish. It's a Rose of Sharon quilt. My wedding quilt that my grandmother made me is a Rose of Sharon quilt, but it's blue and green, which are my favorite colors, but it's not historically accurate. So I'm going to make a historically accurate version for events and that sort of thing. So let's see what we got in here. Bias white cotton. I might use that for binding. These are a bunch of little baby chemises that I started. Yep, that's where they went to. Okay, I cut hold of brand new ones because I couldn't find the ones that I made last time. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but we'll figure out something. Okay, what is this? It's another chemise. This, I bet, is the back. That's what I was thinking. I'm going to stuff these somewhere. Okay. Because the back should be 3. It's either the back or what's left over. Yes, there are seams in it. So this is the front of the quilt. Hoping I left some in here for back. Here's another chemise. Okay. And then pieces. Upon pieces and a little bit of batting. Okay. And more pieces. And I'm wondering all these work. Here's some thread that'll work. I already packed thread and everything. Yep. Lots and lots. Goodness knows what else is under here. There's probably the things I've been missing for months in here. That's fun. Garter. That doesn't surprise me. Baby shoe pattern. So these are all the pieces I cut out. And there's a ton of them. Like there are petals for the flowers, there's leaves, the double leaves, more parts of the flower, and another chemise. Pulling out all the things. All that shoemaking. Pile of fabric. Alright, let's get started. I have here the very center of the quilt marked. So that's what my mark there is. And what I need are my little pieces. I folded in the ends just a scant little bit. And the original is showing them set up very similar to this, with the top tips touching. So I just gotta make sure that we're touching the best that we can without overlapping them, and my ironing wasn't the greatest, so I'll fix it whenever we get to the sewing portion of this. Let me go ahead and actually, next comes in these. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in there before we pin it down. Same thing with this one. Okay, actually I think this one's wrong because I think the edge of this and this is supposed to kind of match up. Yeah, basically. These are supposed to be a little bit taller. That's way too tall. And we are going to hand stitch the whole outer portion of this. So we did machine stitch the thing together because it's going to be on the inside and no one's going to see it. And again, I will fix it when I get into the sewing portion of this. And I think we're just going to do one medallion today, and I'll work on the others throughout this month, and then we'll do this, not scallopy, but the edges next month. Now it looks like we're doing this going to need more little green leaves. Alright, so I think we're going to do, I did not fold the ends of this one under because it's just so difficult. I'm going to do it while I sew it. And it's basically, it seems pretty close to that maybe. Okay, and I gotta decide, because I have an up and down to my fabric because these little designs are going up. And I have everything kind of facing the center, so maybe I'll just face them all towards the center. I'm glad I thought about that before doing too much here. And then I have, this is where it's going to get a little dicey, I think. I have two that need to go into this. I don't know, we might have to skip those leaves. So I had to have a little bit of a strip, but that strip needs to cover everything, so this is gonna be fun. This will fit in there. I think this needs to come further down. So let's say I put this here. That has to cover that, but I can't, I have to cover that too. Like that's gotta connect, okay. So what I might need to do, make the stem a little bit longer. This is entirely me guesstimating because I'm trying to make it look like the original, but I don't have like the dimensions of all the pieces for the original, so it's, oh, that'll work, yes. Because that'll make it look almost like the leaves are part of both of them. Yeah, I think that's doable, okay. And then this can fold in like that. I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to fit the other two leaves that I'm seeing on the original that go this way. Yeah, this is going to be an experience because this is the first time I've looked at a, like I can look at original clothing and copy those, no problem. But because I don't quilt very often, this is the first time I'm doing this with a quilt. And this is going to prove to kind of test some of my limits here. Okay, camera stopped recording. I don't know if it actually got the last little bit. I'm trying to get these pieces to fit with what the original shows, which is proving to be very difficult. I don't know if I just cut them wrong size or if I have them spaced out differently, but we got that part done, and then I'm working on putting the big flowers on, which I did not fold in the end. I'm going to do that as I sew it. I think it's going to be way easier. But essentially, oops, that should be there. Okay. I'm learning a couple of things. Namely is I'm going to need a little bit of a extender on this piece. And then these leaves can kind of fit at the bottom of that. Because we also have these things that need to fit with, of course, these. And this is really pushing me out of my comfort zone because I am not a I'm not a quilt person. I'm not a quilt person and I don't know what I'm doing. So there's supposed to be two other leaves that kind of come out of these and they go that way, and there ain't no way that's gonna work. I am trying to curve it because it's supposed to be like a little circle, like a medallion type thing, so I am trying to get that little curve in there. Although I didn't actually cut it on the bias. It would curve very easily if it was on the bias, but it's such a tiny curve I didn't think it was necessary. It doesn't look like it is going to be necessary. It's just I am trying to get that little bit of a curve. And yes, the cat is screaming in the background. She's in trouble because she doesn't like the dog, and so she keeps peeing on the dog's bed. And she's done it ever since I've gotten her. There's nothing wrong with her. I've taken her to the vet. She's not sick or anything. She just doesn't like the dog. And so I've banished her. She's really not supposed to be even in the house right now. But I'm leaving the doors open to get some fresh air in because it's a nice day. And so yes, she is very angry with me. Okay, battery died again. I don't know what's going on with the camera today. I decided I might add another leaf here. Because the original has 2 and they're going off this way. But I couldn't fit those in. But maybe if I do this 1 leaf, it'll look a little fuller and a little bit more interesting. Just give it a little bit more depth, I guess. Yeah, I think that looks good. Honestly though, trying to decide between leaf and no leaf. So there it is with the leaf. And here it is with no leaf. I think I like no leaf. It was a great idea to try it. I just don't think it's going to be what I want. The cat's also mad because there's not food bowl in the house bowl. Because she's living outside now, she doesn't have food in the house bowl. She has food in the outside bowl. I fed her 30 minutes ago. But she got very angry when she found her way inside and found out there was not food in the house bowl. Even though there is food outside. I would love to have indoor cats again, but not if she's going to pee all over the dog's stuff. Alright. So, that's all the pieces, at least. Hang on, I'm missing a leaf here. So now we have all the pieces put together for this one medallion. And I think we can go ahead, actually I'm going to put it on the floor so you can actually see the whole thing because this isn't wide enough to see the whole thing. So there's the completed medallion. It's not exact. I mean, of course we're missing those 2 leaves. I'm wondering if I pulled this all down, maybe into like right here. If maybe I would be able to fit those other 2 leaves, but I kind of like it the way it is. I think we're doing pretty good with it. And it's very, very similar to the shape. Of course, the other thing is, it is a little square-ish, as opposed to round. And I probably could still fix that if I wanted to. And I do think pulling it down a little bit would make it more round. But also, I kind of like it that way, and I think I'm going to leave it. So let's go ahead and get to sewing. Alright, so we're working on the sewing portion. I have the 3 other sections done. This is my last section, and then I have 1 flower left. So I've kind of been doing it. I was doing all the green and then doing the red. And so basically I did the other 3 green and then I did the other 3 red, and then I'm filming this part. So there really isn't any technique to it. It's just a hem stitch or a whip stitch is what we would call it today. I will say the beginning part of this was super difficult because all the pins everywhere, and they would randomly like fall out and I had pieces falling out, and it was just a mess, and I kept poking myself and it was kind of painful. So definitely like that I only have 1 section with pins on it now, and I think the only way to combat that would be to actually baste it all in instead of using pens, which just sounds like more work. I'm already very much loving this design. I think it's going to be a beautiful quilt when it's done. It may take me the next year to get it done, but it'll be beautiful. We've been doing so many military events lately that right now I haven't been staying in the same tent together, because this is really supposed to be our marriage quilt. So I was like, oh, we're in the quilt, tent together. This will be the quilt. And all the events that we have lined up so far are all military ones where he's staying in barracks and I'm in tents with civilians or in houses or other buildings away from him. So it's like, I really have no motivation to get this done now. Other than the fact I don't like this project looming over me, because it's already been looming over me for a year or so. Actually, it's been a year. Yeah, I did say it was like a year and a half to 2 years. Yeah. It's at least a year and a half. Because when I cut these pieces out, it was July of last year. And it's February now. Sorry, July of 2 years ago. 2 Julys ago. And I'm kind of just ready for this to not be in a bag in my sewing room anymore. So that's my sole motivation for getting this done. Not that I actually need it until probably the fall. There's a couple of forts events that will, you know, stay and camp together. The good news about not needing it is I can take this to events and work on it at events. So it'll be a very simple sewing project to work on. Also, I could have my friends help work on it. It could be like a little reenacting friend project where I can think about all the people who helped me with the quilt. The good news is it's actually very mindless work because it's just a little whip stitch. There's really not a lot of skill involved other than making the stitches very small. But it's looking good. Like I'm pleased with how it looks out. I am pleased with how it looks so far. I'm also debating for the next one to potentially not spend all that time ironing the pieces that, you know, 1/8 inch in or whatever, because I'm not having any issues with the flowers. I just kind of pin it a few inches ahead of time and then keep sewing. It doesn't seem like it adds a lot of time to my sewing. Although, to be fair, it's going extremely slow. I was finishing the pinning at like 11 a.m. this morning, and it is currently 8 at night. And I swear I do like 4 stitches, and I look over at the clock, and it's been another hour. I think I went 2 inches. It was like 5:04, and I did 2 inches, and it was 6:03. And I just kept looking at my stitching going, there's no way I did that little work in an hour, because I'm typically a very fast hand stitcher. Because I thought this was going to take me like 3 hours max, and I was going to be able to get another project done today and get a lot of editing done and like be super productive, and here we are. Gotten to a red part, so I'm not going around this part of the red because I don't have my red thread with me, or actually I do, it's right next to me, but I don't have the red thread on the needle. So I'm just doing the parts of the green, and I'm leaving that little tip point of the red undone, and we'll come back with the red and just do that little V shape. So I'm just gonna keep going all the way around. So I'm just gonna show you where the whole thing, okay. So I started from here. I started here in this corner. I went around, kind of just, and I'll just continue going here around through that shape, across this one up here, and then end up right back here. And because I've already done the rest of the green, we can then start on the red. And I typically just go here, 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 and then do the flower last, because that's the most time-consuming part. Alright, finishing the last little bit of this green. And I'm going to start with this upper one, except for apparently I managed to pin that to me. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do the little bud. I'll do this top one first. And it's the exact same thing. It's not like this any, you know, special technique. It's just same little whip stitch, only this time in a red so that it matches better. Hide that raw edge. The points are the hardest parts to hide any raw edge. And of course these I can't do in one fell swoop like I did with the green, so I gotta tie this off here and then go to another red part. I don't think it'd be incredibly noticeable if I used the same gray thread throughout all of it, but I guess I might as well change colors. And of course it's the same thing for the flowers, so just little whip stitches. Kind of just the parts I didn't pin, pushing them under with my fingers, and it works just as well without adding too much time to the sewing. And just keep going around. This is one of those I can do in one fell swoop to just get the whole flower done with one seam. That's the last little bit, and then I'm gonna put it on the floor or maybe even the bed, just so you can see the whole thing sewn. And by whole thing I mean the one medallion, because that's all we're getting done this month. I'll continue working on the rest of the 8 medallions. And then next month, the beginning of next month, we'll do again the scallop border that I talked about earlier. Alright, here is the whole thing. So that's what it looks like. I think it turned out super cute. I mean, yes, it's a little square than I think it should have been otherwise. And I'm wondering if I had put these parts here, this part you can see better, this part down on this side of the flower and moved it down about 2 inches, if I would have had room for those other 2 leaves that go right there. But for what it is, I think I like it. So yeah, I'm still out on whether I need little yellow bits in the center of the flowers. I see that in the reproduction. I can't see it. I can't see the original that well to see if there are like a gold or brown or something there. Some of them it looks like there might be, and other ones it doesn't look like it at all. So I really don't know what was on it. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research on that. So we may end up coming back and adding little spots in the middle of the flowers. But I know the buds are good and the leaves look fine. So I think we're doing really well otherwise. And I'm happy with how it looks. Yeah, it did take me a whole day to do that. So I have 8 more full days to go before I get this part done. I will be very happy with this quilt when it's done. And hopefully get many, many years of use at events and that sort of thing. But thank you so much for joining me today as we started the applique for my wedding quilt. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. As always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next one.